grab your popcorn and maybe a glass of wine because what would you do if you got an invitation letter to your boyfriend's wedding? Simi is currently going through what we call character development. You see that crumpled piece of paper shaking in her hand? It isn't a bill, it isn't a sack letter, it's an invitation to her boyfriend's wedding. Femi, let's take a moment of silence for Femi's audacity. This is the same man who looked Simi in the eye 3 months ago and told her he wasn't ready for marriage. He said he needed space. He needed to find himself. Apparently, he found himself inside the DMs of a girl named Precious. Exactly 2 weeks later. And now he's marrying her. Now, any sensible woman would burn that invitation, block his number, and move to Canada if they have the funds. But Simi is trapped. Her mother and Femi's mother are childhood best friends. They are in the same committee in church. If Simi doesn't go to this wedding, it will be World War III. So she has no choice. She has to pack a bag, leave Lagos, and travel to the village to watch the love of her life say I do to a woman whose contouring is questionable. The journey to Umuada was not a private jet experience. Oh no. Simi's car decided that the middle of Lagos Ibadan Expressway was the perfect place to overheat. She stood under the sun for 2 hours waiting for a mechanic who charged her triple the price. By the time the car was fixed, her air conditioning had give up the ghost. So Simi drove the last 4 hours with the windows down, eating dust. The Lagos city girl, who usually doesn't step out without sunscreen, arrived in the village looking like she had wrestled with a harmattan storm. Her wig was shifting, her expensive foundation had melted into an oily mess. She looked like the definition of she who suffers. She dragged her suitcase into her grandmother's compound, hoping for a warm hug and maybe a cold malt drink. But Mama Nkechi doesn't do warm and fuzzy. Mama Nkechi does inspections. Grandma stepped out of her hut. She looked at the chickens. She looked at the sky. And then she looked at Simi. She didn't smile. She just squinted. Is this Simi? Grandma asked, looking at Simi's dusty eyelashes. Or did the spirit send a scarecrow? Simi burst into tears. She was tired. She was hungry. And she was single. Grandma, I'm just stressed, she sobbed. Grandma shook her head. You are not stressed. You are neglecting your glory. You want to go to that wedding looking like yesterday's pounded yam. Hey, my enemy's sons is the groom. You want this mother to look at you and thank God for her son escape. God forbid. Grandma grabbed Simi's hand. Get inside. The wedding is on Saturday. We have 3 days. It's time for serious work. The next morning, Simi thought she would get to sleep in. Wrong. Grandma woke her up at 5 a.m. Get up, Grandma commanded. We are going to the stream and then the market. Simi groaned. Grandma, I have money. Let's just go to the supermarket. Grandma laughed. A dry, sarcastic laugh. Supermarket. You think the glow comes from a bottle you buy at the mall? No, the glow comes from the heads. So Simi found herself trekking to the village market, and this wasn't the nice market, this was the deep market. Grandma made her haggle for black soap. She made her smell herbs that made her sneeze. And then the worst happened. They ran into the village slay queens. You know them, the girls who never left the village but act like they run it. They saw Simi in her dusty, oversized t-shirt and slippers. They whispered. They giggled. Simi heard one of them say, Is this the Lagos big girl? She looked like my auntie's house girl. Simi wanted the ground to open up and swallow her. She felt small. She felt ugly. She felt like Femi was right to leave her. That night, Simi sat on the veranda, slapping mosquitoes and crying. Grandma came out with a calabash of something that smelled like heads and honey. Why are you crying? Grandma asked, sitting down. Because he left me, Grandma. Simi whispered. He said I wasn't exciting. He said I was too plain. And look at me. I am plain. Precious she's flashy. She has the fake lashes, the long nails, the drama. I'm just Simi. Grandma sighed. She dipped her hand into the calabash and rubbed a cooling oil onto Simi's face. Listen to me. Femi is a boy who likes shiny things because is a child. You are not plain. You are a diamond wrapper in a newspaper. He didn't unwrap you, so he threw you away. That is his loss. But this weekend, we are going to remove the newspaper. The process began. This wasn't a spa day, this was spiritual warfare. For 2 days, Grandma didn't let Simi look in a mirror. She scrubbed Simi's skin with a native sponge that felt like sandpaper, but left her skin feeling like silk. She mixed black soap and camwood and honey. She applied shea butter that has been blessed by 3 generations of women. Simi's skin began to drink it up. The grey, tired legal stress evaporated. Her skin didn't just shine, it looked like it was lit from within. A deep, rich caramel gold. Then came the hair. Grandma sat Simi down between her knees. No Brazilian wool today, Grandma said. No bone straights. We are doing the crown of your ancestors. Grandma's finger moved so fast they were a blur. She wove a style so intricate, so architectural, it belonged in a museum. It lifted Simi's face, pulling her eyes into a natural feline snatch. Finally, Saturday morning arrived, the wedding day. Simi woke up and felt different. She felt light. Grandma walked in carrying a heavy wooden trunk. Dust motes danced in the light as she opened it. I wore this in 1970, Grandma said softly. It has been waiting. Inside was Aso-Oke, but not the stiff, cheap kind you see these days. This was vintage, hand woven, a deep royal teal mixed with thread of actual gold. It looked heavy, it looked expensive, it looked like royalty. When Simi put it on, it fits like a glove. The skirt hugged her curve in ways Femi had never appreciated. The blouse sat perfectly on her shoulders, and when Grandma tied the gilly, a towering, majestic head wrap. Simi finally looked in the mirror. She gasped. The woman staring back wasn't the tired assistant from Lagos. She was a queen. Now, Grandma said, applying a touch of coal to Simi's eyes, go and commit murder. The church service was already halfway through when they arrived. Femi and Precious were at the altar. Precious was wearing a white dress that was, well, let's just say it was very puffy. There was a lot of glitter, a lot of synthetic lace. Femi looked sweaty. He looked like a man who was already tired of his marriage and hadn't even been an hour. The guests were bored, fanning themselves with programs. The aunties were whispering in the back row. I heard Simi is coming, one whispered. Does she have no shame? Coming to watch her boyfriend get married. They probably came to beg, another auntie laughed. And then the doors at the back of the church creaked open. The sunlight from outside flooded in, creating a silhouette. The click-clack of expensive wood echoes on the tiled floor. Simi stepped in. The silence was instant. You could hear a pin drop. You could hear a stomach grow. Simi walked down the hall, not to the front, but to her seat in the third row. But she walked in slow motion. The Aso-Oke shimmered with every step, catching the light like liquid gold. Her skin was blinding. Her head was held high. She didn't look angry. She looked unbothered. She looked wealthy. She looked like she owned the church, the land it was built on, and the air everyone was breathing. Femi turned around to see what the silence was about. His jaw literally dropped. I'm not joking. His mouth hung open. He blinked. Simi? He whispered, loud enough for the microphone to pick it up. Precious, the bride, turned around. Her eyes went wide. She looked at Simi, then looked at her own glittery dress. You could see the insecurity wash over her face. Femi's mother nudged Femi hard in the rib. Close your mouth, focus on your wife, she hissed. But Femi couldn't focus. Throughout the rest of the service, he kept turning his head. He was sweating profusely. Now, regretting what he did. The regret was radiating off him like its wave. He was realizing that he had traded a diamond for a rhinestone. Reception was where the real drama happened. Simi sat at a table near the back, sipping a malt drink elegantly. She didn't go to the high table. She didn't try to cause a scene. She just sat there, glowing. A line of people had formed just to greet her. Simi, is that you? You look very wonderful, my dear. So are you dating the governor now? Simi just smiled mysteriously. I'm just focusing on myself, auntie, she would say. Femi watched her from the high table. He ignored his new wife, who was trying to feed him cake. He waited until the music started and the dance floor opened. He adjusted his agbada and started walking towards Simi. You could see the script in his head. He was going to tell her she looked beautiful. He was going to ask for a friendly dance. He was going to try and keep her as a side option. The audacity of men, right? He got within 5 feet of our table. He opened his mouth to say, "See me?" But suddenly, a shadow blocked his path. Femi looked up and up. Standing between Femi and Simi was a man, a mountain of a man. Let's call him Bolu. Bolu was not a boy. Bolu was a man. He had a beard that looked like it had his own grooming team. He smelled like wood and expensive decisions. He was wearing a white agbada that was so crisp it would cut paper. Bolu didn't even look at Femi. He looked past him, straight at Simi. "Excuse me," Bolu said, his voice deep and smooth like melted chocolates. "I don't mean to intrude, but my grandma told me the most beautiful woman in Nigeria was sitting at the table. I thought that she was lying. I see now that she was telling the truth." Simi looked up. Her eyes met Bolu's eye. And for the first time in months, her heart didn't hurt. It skipped a beat. Femi stood there looking like a confused waiter. Excuse me, I'm the groom," Femi stammered. Bolu finally looked at him. He smiled, a polite, dismissive smile. "Congratulations on your day. You should go dance with your wife. She looks lonely." Born. Femi looked at Bolu, then looked at Simi. He realized in that moment that he was out of his league. He turned around and walked back to Precious with his tail between his leg. Bolu extended a hand to Simi. "Would you honor me with a dance?" Simi stood up. She took his hand. They walked to the dance floor, and let me tell you, the chemistry was electric. They moved together perfectly. Bolu whispered something in her ear, and Simi threw her head back and laughed. A real, genuine, joyful laugh. The kind of laugh Femi never gave her. The aunties were going crazy. "Who is that man?" "That is Bolu. He owns the new hotel in town. I heard he just came back from Atlanta." "Ah, Simi has hammered, oh." As the reception wound down, Bolu walked to a sleek black SUV waiting outside. He opened the door for her like a gentleman. "Can I see you tomorrow?" Bolu asked. "Maybe," Simi teased, "if you can find my village. For you, I would use Google Map to find a needle in a haystack." Simi blushed and got into the car. As she settled into the leather seat, she looked at the person sitting on the other side. It was Grandma. Grandma was eating a piece of wrapped chicken she had smuggled from the party. She looked at Simi, then looked at Bolu through the window and gave a satisfied nod. "You know," Grandma said, chewing on the bone, "Bolu's grandmother and I, we play Ludo yesterday together every Tuesday. We might have planned this." Simi's jaw dropped. "Grandma, you set me up." Grandma winkled. "I didn't set you up. I just polished the diamond so that the right buyer would see it. Heaven was never the destination, my child. It was just a pothole on the road to your destiny." Simi looked out the back window as the car drove away. She saw Femi standing at the gate, looking miserable. She didn't feel anger anymore. She didn't feel sadness. She just felt free. She turned back, looked at her grandma and smiled. So Simi asked, "Does Bolu have a brother for my cousin?" Grandma laughed. "And that, ladies, is how you handle an ex's wedding. You don't get bitter, you get better. You go back to your roots, you scrub up the stress, and you let your glue do the talking because sometimes the best revenge is simply upgrading, glowing up." Now, go drink water and mind your business. See you next time. Please make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. Thank you.